As you all are aware, an author's afternoon presented by Shree Cement Limited is an initiative of Prabha Khaitan Foundation in association with Taj Bengal. The foundation, even during the tiring times, made sure that the patrons could rendezvous with authors and stalwarts from different fields. The foundation's activities are aimed towards betterment in the arena of education, culture, art, and literature. Alongside, it also aims to encourage gender equality, women's empowerment, and livelihood. Through its programs, it endorses the importance of humanitarian, global issues, and fundamental needs, both physical and spiritual. It is my honor and privilege to welcome the guest author of today, Ms. Payal Kothari. Ms. Payal Kothari embarked on her health and wellness journey with the world's largest nutrition school, IIN Institute for Integrative Nutrition, New York, IIN Advanced Business, Medvarsity, India's leading training academy, Kaizad Kapadia's K11 Q1 Academy. She has 150 published articles under her belt from prestigious publications like Times of India, Vogue, The Indian Express, Hindustan Times, and E.T. Panache. She also holds practical certifications from ACSM, American College of Sports Medicine, and has been part of the most powerful global transformation programs like Date with Destiny and Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins. Today, Payal is one of the rare few IIN certified coaches in India who practices integrative nutrition and transformation. In a conversation with her is Ehsaas of Women Kolkata, Nilisha Agarwal. Thank you.
So, welcome to Kolkata, Payal. And I just came to know you've been born in Kolkata, and however, you grew up in Mumbai. So, you have your roots here. I'm sure all of us today, and especially me, we're very excited to uh, hear you out. And I'm really excited for this conversation because I myself am on my postpartum weight loss and health journey. So, really looking forward to this conversation. Should we begin? Okay. So, as your introduction also mentioned, and I've read about it, can you tell me what is integrative nutrition and what's the difference between integrative nutrition and the mainstream nutrition?
Um, so thank you for the intro, but I don't think it's done justice to who really I am. Those were all certifications and things that I did. But when this is my first book as an author, and I'm really glad that this is my debut here as an author speaking to an audience, which is in Kolkata, where my dad started his business here. And when I told him that I'll be here for the author's afternoon, he was more excited than I was. And he shared his entire journey of how he moved from Palanpur, his native city in Gujarat, to sell diamonds in Kolkata, to Shri B.M. Khaitanji with Radheshamji Poddar. So, lovingly known as Babu, B.M. Babu. So it's come full circle, this entire journey for me. So I'm really thrilled. And then my mom was excited as well. Go get me saris from here and get me, the jhalmuri masala packets. And so I said, you all only come here. They would have loved to, but my mom's unwell, so they couldn't make it. So I think this intro does more justice to me than my certifications and everything else that I have managed to achieve. Coming back to your question, Nilisha, the difference between integrative nutrition and conventional medicine is basically integrative nutrition believes that we need to integrate not only our physical needs but also our emotional needs, because our emotions are primary food and our physical needs are our secondary foods. So it kind of integrates, it joins the dot. There's a wellness wheel where we can integrate a lot of things together, whereas conventional medicine treats each person as a common person. So one size fits all kind of an approach, which literally fails. And today integrative nutrition is going to be mainstream because everybody is going through their own mental health issues. Be it a kid who's studying at home, virtually, or be it you going through, your kids, your postpartum, you're looking at, you're working and you're combining taking care of your children, me running 2-3 different verticals, all of y'all are here. Obviously, y'all have different things that y'all are looking into. So today, mental wellness is more important than just physical wellness. So integrative nutrition comprises of adding every modality together, be it meditation, be it bark therapy, be it going for a walk, be it music, art therapy, or meeting friends. Everything is important in that wellness cycle or circle as compared to a conventional medication. So when you go to a health caregiver, the person just looks at your illness from the symptom and tries to treat a symptom. Whereas integrative nutrition deals with the base of the root cause of that symptom. So integrative nutrition will not only look at one organ, that your kidney is unwell or your stomach aches, it'll look at it in a entire all body systems as one. And integrative nutrition also is one man's food can be another man's poison, since we all have different fingerprints. Even our parents and my parents and me both have different fingerprints. Similarly, what suits you may not suit me. So a generic diet is not so healthy for everyone. You may be gluten intolerant and gluten may suit me because I come from a particular ancestry or region. I grew up eating gluten, or vice versa. So integrative nutrition actually breaks down everything and then treats an entire human as compared to the symptom only. Just not the tip of the iceberg, but the entire iceberg. That's the difference.
It really sounds very holistic and dynamic. However, can you tell me that when we have mainstream medicine, it is a one size fits all thing. Mm-hmm. So it's available to everyone, and I know, okay, so even if I'm having these symptoms, I probably can cure it in way A or way B.
Yeah.
However, with integrative nutrition, when everyone is different, how does it reach each individual? Do we really have to go to specific nutritionists for it, or is there a way where most people can benefit from it?
Yeah, so great question. You have to be your own guinea pig. So my journey when I was sick and when I moved to Mumbai, I was born in Kolkata, I moved to Mumbai, and I was sick as a child. I had TB, and that made me malnourished. It kind of ruined my ecosystem, the antibiotics. So my ecosystem from my mouth to the anus, we're talking about the gut. So it literally, the gut is from the mouth to the anus. So my ecosystem was shaken up, which made me a malnourished child. So I used to throw up, I had food intolerances. My parents didn't know that I'm lactose intolerant. Who knew in 1973-75 that there's something like lactose intolerant or gluten intolerance? So the malnutrition was one sign of me being sick. And then when puberty hit at 13, I started craving a lot of sugar. I didn't realize that I am malnourished. I'm craving nutrients. I started craving sugars. So I reached out to anything available, biscuits, sugar, that prashadi ka chana, the white one. I used to eat sugar all day long. And 13 means we women know what happens when we're 13. Everything goes for a toss. Hormones are playing havoc. you're conscious about your body image, your body's changing, hormones are changing. So from malnourishment and malnutrition, I moved to obesity. So being obese also didn't make me happy. From being a double promoted child in grade 4, I moved to a failure in grade 9. So everything came crashing down, Alicia. And I started experimenting. I became my own guinea pig. I started understanding that. So another intervention for me was my dance guru, Shamak Davar. And he used to dance and dance and dance. I was in his troupe for 3 years. And when I watched him and his troupe dance for 10 hours a day on water, fruits, kakdi, gajar, dahi, yogurt, and all of them are glowing, happy, their skin, hair was amazing, energy levels were on top of the game. So I started eating similar foods like theirs, simple foods. And my mom also did a lot of home cooking. Till today, she does a lot of home cooking. So I experimented with a lot of vegetable khichdis, a lot of soups, moong ka pani, paneer ka pani. I did all of that. So, and my mom also did a lot of herbal chais, teas. So anything, if I had a cold cough, it was ginger and mint with hot water. It was amba haldi. So I grew up with all of this. And so I started experimenting on my own, and now I have a curation of things that suit me and things that don't suit me. So I do 80-20. 80% I stick to everything that suits me, and 20% I will do what will not suit me. Because I can't deprive myself of anything, right? I want to eat that cookie, I want to eat that pav bhaji, I want to eat that vada pav, I want to eat that kachori or samosa. Tomorrow I'm going to indulge big time in it. So I do a 80-20. So if all of us can try and make, like since we're all here, try to see what, you can eliminate a few things from your diet. Like see where your dairy is coming from. Make sure it's coming from grass-fed cows. It's coming from a nice farm. Go and do a recce of that farm. See where you're, instead of eating plain flour, do naturally gluten-free flours. We have so many in India, right? We grow so much of millets in our country. Our soil is rich to grow millets. So you can do millet rotis, you can do chawal ki roti, all the traditional foods that we all did. Like you can do even khakras out of that. So the question was, how do you do a curated plan for yourself? Either you go to an expert who helps you with the whole program and transformation week by week, which I do. I eliminate everything week 1. And then we see how week 1 is, whether the weight loss has happened, how the moods, how's the energy level? Is she feeling happier? Is the gut feeling good? Is it less bloated? Is she feeling lighter? And then we curate an entire 12-week program. And that's their program for life. You can do it at home. You can eliminate a few things on your own and then crowd in the good stuff. After eliminating lactose, gluten, hydrogenated oils, chips, cookies, biscuit. So many people say, I have only 2 biscuits with chai. But the only 2 biscuits on a daily basis is kind of bashing your gut health. You're doing it on a daily basis. So try and do it once in a while. You're out, you're having coffee, you don't have a choice, you want to eat a little bit of the cookie, do it. So pick your vices well. Choose what you want to eat well. You don't have to always do it. And don't always be a people's pleaser. That, oh, I couldn't say no, she's my best friend. I couldn't say no, she's my aunt. I couldn't say no, she's my dadi. I couldn't say no, she's my mami ji. You're going to meet people on a daily basis. So you can always say no nicely. And then pick when you want. Like when you're going to go on a holiday, that's when you can forget everything and then just go all out. Come back and do your detox. So your detox can be at home, your resort, your Viva Myers or your Jindal or wherever everyone goes to, can be at home. You can curate your own plan. It's not that difficult.
Okay, so that was a good answer.
Okay.
And wanted to know. Okay, let's carry on.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm good.
Okay.
So when you were 2 years old, you were diagnosed with tuberculosis,
Yeah.
and that messed up your system,
Yeah.
and you had something called the leaky gut
Yep.
syndrome.
Mhm.
And probably that lasted till 13 years. Like, so
Yeah.
this entire span of 11 years you were into this.
Yes.
So did that affect you permanently, or how long did it take you to get back and understand what was happening? And then you said you also became obese, and then you had a lot of junk and everything. So how did you get into nutrition personally, and when did you start it professionally?
Okay. So, of course, when I was 2 till I was 13 or 15, I didn't know I had a leaky gut. So, I'll explain what a leaky gut is. I'm gonna drop the mic. So, our guts are our intestines, basically. And our digestive system is from our mouth to the anus. So, our mouth, our esophagus, the stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and the colon. But our main gut, the main action is happening in the intestines, the small and the large. Nilisha, I wanna talk about gut bacteria. We are more bacteria than we are human cells. First it was the bacteria, and then it was human race that came about. So we are more bacteria. There's bacteria on our skin, in our mouth, in our hair, everywhere. We have over 100 trillion microbes in us and on us, the good and the bad. It's a symbiosis of the good and the bad. What happened was, when I had TB, I took so many antibiotics, it kind of diminished the good bacteria. So the bad guys were powerful, and that caused a lot of inflammation and intolerances. So obviously, I didn't know that, nor did my parents. So any kind of medication, conventional medication that you're taking, be it for thyroid, be it for migraines, be it for acidity, be it for bloating, constipation, gas, cancer, any medication that you're taking is literally damaging those microbes. And once you have a leaky gut, you have a leaky gut. You can repair your gut to an 80 to 90%, but you always have to be super careful.
So what is a symptom of a leaky gut?
Great question. So now our guts used to be so tight. The walls of our gut used to be so tight. Mine have kind of opened up like a cheesecloth. When we drain cheese water out of a cheesecloth, or dahi, when we hang dahi.
Yeah.
But the muslin cloth of the dahi has big holes now. So it's allowing pathogens, viruses, proteins to enter my bloodstream. So my gut is a little bit leaky right now. I want to tighten it so that I don't have bloating, I don't have migraines, I don't have eczema, I don't get pimples and acne, I don't have hair loss, I don't have mental instability. How do you tighten that gut is what this book is all about. So if most of us have gone through surgeries, deliveries, stress, medication, travel, pollution, we've all gone through this. Bad water, outside food, hydrogenated oils, packaged food. So most of us are suffering from some kind of a leaky gut syndrome. It could be IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. It could be IBD, irritable bowel disorder. It could be thyroid. Whatever you may be predisposed to according to your parents or your ancestors. So my mom had a lot of acidity. So I was predisposed to that. If your mom or dad had any kind of blood pressure issues, you would be predisposed to that. If you had your mom had something with thyroid, you would be predisposed to thyroid. So it all depends on when it's happened, how it's happened, and how you're going to treat it. You can go to any health caregiver and they will give you medication for it.
Right.
But that's just treating the symptom. You're not literally going down to the roots that what happened to my gut. Even if you've had any kind of trauma, any illness or death in the family, that can also affect your gut microbes. They're very, very sensitive, but they're very intelligent. So if you feed them right, they're going to multiply.
And any of these illnesses can be actually treated with the gut, like with
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
even something like thyroid,
Absolutely.
diabetes, and all of these medications which
Absolutely.
require you to be on medication lifelong. So I'm asking this
Exactly.
particularly because I was diagnosed with thyroid when I was in class 7, and neither of my parents had thyroid.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow,
it
that's
might not
really young.
be.
It may not be a predisposition. It could be stress, college, school stress. It could be medication. It could be a trauma. It could be anything. It could be poor food habits,
Probably.
right? Like a lot of wheat or a lot of lactose. It could be any of that. So the best way to figure this out and try to heal your gut is eliminate things which are not so good for you. Sugar. And not white sugar. Sugar in the form of milkshakes, cappuccinos, lattes, bagels, waffles. We don't have many, teenagers here, but that's what our kids are eating today. Burgers out of fast food chains, and they're all getting obese. So India has a double burden of malnutrition and obesity. So where are we coming? Like our youth is suffering so badly. And thanks to COVID, everyone's mental health has it's off the roof. Kids are studying at home, they're not in the best conducive environment. We're not in the best conducive environment, right?
Right.
So we all need to first handle our mental wellness and look into our gut wellness and then talk about weight loss or bloating or water retention. Right? All that it's a side effect. You lose weight if your gut is good. You'll be medication free if your gut is good. You'll be a happier person if your gut is good, because our gut and our brain are interconnected, they're interrelated, they're interdependent. We have a pathway which goes both ways. That's why I call the gut the second brain. I don't call it. Microbiologists are calling it a second brain. It weighs the same as the brain in the skull. It can't write a check for you or do math for you, but we do have gut feelings and gut instincts, right? We were, primarily we were animals. We were hunter-gatherers after that. We were cavemen and cavewomen. So our responses are here. When you see someone in the elevator and that person is giving you a dirty look, your gut tells you something, right? If you're signing a deal and suddenly you just feel that I don't think I want to do that, that's your gut talking to you. But are we listening? Even if you go out on a date and you just find something really spooky about that person, and if you listen to your gut, you'll be safe. So our responses are here. Everything's here, and we just completely ignored it.
So that sounds kind of odd, because you think from your brain. However, we use this term, the gut feeling, so
Yeah.
loosely.
Yeah.
And as you're saying that, you feel from here and your gut will tell you. So, and tell us more about the gut feeling, and if you've read about the origin of the gut feeling,
Yeah.
the term, and how did it come to you?
Sure. It's a lovely,
How does it
lovely
really tell
story.
you?
Yeah, I'll tell you how it tells you. Okay, imagine me as a Flintstone, cave person. Remember the cartoon Flintstones? Abadabadabadoo, abadabadabadoo. I grew up watching that. So, I am a cave woman, and I am going hunting for my children at home in the cave. I go hunting, I go berry hunting, and I am in a forest, in a huge landscape, and I find my berries. Suddenly, I feel there's a big shadow behind me. I have a gut instinct, it could be a wild animal. So I do two things. Either I drop that and run, or I turn around and use my spear to kill it. I'll do either. I'll
But the
fight.
gut will tell you.
Yes, I'll either fight or I'll flight. So these responses are in us. Even though we are out of cavemen and we're living in a concrete jungle, we still have these instincts. how do you feed these instincts? What kind of nutrition are you giving these instincts? Are you giving it caffeine, alcohol, shisha, all sorts of addictions, sugar, or are you feeding it probiotics and prebiotics? Are you feeding it fruits and soups and salads? Are you feeding it whole grains compared to breads and bagels? Or theplas and parathas and kachoris and puris? So remember, do the 80-20 and you can still have the puri and kachori and all of that. I don't know the audience whether they want me to talk about weight loss, water retention, bloating, migraines, good skin, good hair. So if you give me like a, if you want to ask me something more specific, or we can take that later, then I can talk more about specific related problems.
So I'm sure like we're all women here, hair loss and skin would be great to talk about. But let's just come to that after a few minutes. Let's just talk about the book first.
Okay.
So how much time and effort and research did you put into this book? And how did this book come into being? Did you ever think you were going to write a book?
Never. I never thought, because everyone thought I was a dummy. I failed 9th grade. So, and everyone thought I was a dummy. So I thought I was a dummy. Other people's perception kind of plays on you, it overpowers you. And then when I found my joy in nutrition, that's when I started writing blogs and articles for all media. And I think we have over 250-300 articles and blogs written on my platform. And then that's where Rupa Publications saw my 12 articles in Indian Express about gut, food and mood. So we got in touch and I wrote the book in 2 months. I wrote 80,000 words. I was supposed to write 50,000.
Wow.
I wrote 80,000. I just poured my heart out, and then they called me that, Payal, you need to cut off these 30,000 words, and they were so close to my heart. So I have another book, smaller book of those 30,000 words. But I never thought I'll be an author. I never knew I would ever be able to, talk in front of an audience and share my journey and be on such a prestigious platform like, PK Foundation. So I never thought, but yeah, it's been a journey. I wrote it in 2 months, and I can write. I know I can write and have music playing, and I can still write. So
do you plan to write another book, maybe a sequel?
I want to do a
something?
recipe book.
That would be
So,
something great.
Yeah, I love
I'm
cooking,
sure.
and I love using different herbs and superfoods and spices, and how we can use moringa, spirulina, smoothies, salads, soups. Yeah, khichdi, I know Will Smith is eating khichdi in Hollywood, and we are completely dissing apna khichdi, like dal khichdi with vegetables. And we have turmeric latte happening, and we have haldi ka doodh here. So I want to bring all that back here and really encourage our younger generation, because all of them, 8 out of 10 I see are just overweight. And the other 2 are not fit, they're very skinny. There's no balance, they're just going extreme ways. So I want to do this for the youth. So coming to that, I have launched a school, a nutrition school. It's a certification where it's called INNUNE, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and Entrepreneurship. So I'm looking at creating healthpreneurs, nutripreneurs, where I can certify, and they'll be under me, under my guidance, and they can help themselves first, and then help their friends and family, and be entrepreneurs. Because India is very intelligent. I mean, we are, we win all spell bees. We're really intelligent people. And I know that if we have more of these nutripreneurs and health coaches and nutritionists, it'll really create a ripple effect, around. And they'll be able to help their friends, family, and be, he told me about women empowerment. This foundation is all about that, and equality. So why not have, health coaches and nutritionists more in our country?
That's a really noble thought, and
Yeah.
I really like the term nutripreneurs and healthpreneurs. would you like to read an excerpt from the book, maybe your favorite part or a quote or a paragraph?
Yeah, I'd love to. I have folded the page here, so can I use my
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. It's my favorite topic. It's gut and karma. The two invisible forces controlling our lives. Gut and karma are the two invisible forces controlling our lives. The law of cause and effect. You reap as you sow. What goes around comes around. You will be served what you deserve. The reactions produced will be in alignment with the congruent to the actions taken. These are the phrases I grew up hearing. My parents speak a lot about karma. Everything is karma, everything is destiny. So I grew up speaking this, growing with these terms. So they're really close to my heart. And why I call it as invisible, because our gut is invisible, the microbes are invisible, and so is karma. So I've tried to align the two of them together. Most schools of philosophy believe that the happiness or sorrow of a human being's present life is the result of the past karma. Since there is no evidence of rebirth, many have intelligently reshaped this theory a bit to state that the effects of the causes are to be served in this life itself, and this is your heaven and hell. And if you are suffering in any way due to ill health or the loss of wealth or a loved one, a good way to lessen the suffering is by doing more good deeds to negate the bad karma. A plant will be nourished exactly by the intentions, thoughts, actions, and words of the person taking care of it, and it will either blossom or shrivel correspondingly. Karma, whether good or bad, will get transferred from the caretaker to that plant. One is a giver, the other is the receiver. Both the gardener and the plant are partners in this karmic connection of give and take. There's a quote by Maya Angelou which is really, really close to me, because I had the courage to do a lot of things when a lot of factors were not on my side. So courage for me is one of the biggest virtues I think we all need, especially during the COVID pandemic. So Maya Angelou says, courage is the most important of all virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. I also love this quote by Swami Vivekananda. Whatever you think, you will be. If you think yourself weak, weak you will be. If you think yourself strong, strong you will be.
Absolutely, that is so true. I'm sure we all feel it.
Thank you.
So now, coming to the most interesting part, please tell us how to prevent hair loss and how to get great and glowing skin.
Okay, so start feeding your gut. It's as simple as that. Feed it all the superfoods and superfluids which our country grows. So every day have at least 5 things that you can do on a daily basis. So it's a tropical country, Nariyal Pani is available, coconut water. Even a diabetic can drink tender coconut water with patla malai, less malai. So please, if you're remotely diabetic or if you're looking at losing weight, coconut water is the one thing you must have. So coconut water on a daily basis. We have spirulina growing in Kerala. It's an underwater algae. It's the most high in protein. It's a vegetarian protein. So if you get spirulina available from Kerala, start taking that. That will also heal your gut, and it's actually food for your microbes. It's a prebiotic, not a pro. I can,
Yes, please talk about
I can tell them about pre and pro as well. So everyone's very, everyone's aware of Yakult as a probiotic, right? But Yakult is a drink for kids because kids can't have spirulina or kids can't have drumsticks. So for kids, we'll keep it to kids, but it's also very high in sugar. So if we can avoid it, it's great. So everyone is aware of probiotic. So let's talk about prebiotic. The food for your gut. How do your microbes multiply? So anything that grows underground is a prebiotic. Anything that has good starch, like sweet potato, carrots, regular potato, leafy greens, these are food for your microbes. So on a daily basis, eat a salad which has alkaline foods and prebiotics. So your salad should consist of cucumber, tomato, carrot, sweet potato, beetroot. Yeah? Every day, it's a must. So coconut water is one thing, spirulina is the second thing, which is also a prebiotic, and it will line your gut and get absorbed really well. So try and do coconut water and spirulina before a main course. Yeah? Then coming to the main course, start with your salad first. Make sure your salad has all alkaline vegetables and prebiotics. So what are prebiotics?
Starchy vegetables.
Yes?
And
And root vegetables. Great. So any root vegetable and starchy vegetables have prebiotics. They are food for your gut. Literally, it ferments in your small intestine. It multiplies the good bacteria. When the good bacteria multiplies, it releases the happiness hormone called serotonin. So the happiness hormone is also secreted in your gut. You know, when someone is anxious or has depression or is feeling low, obviously a pill can act very quickly. So most of them are given, right? Most children, Prozac or whatever they're given. But those pills act like a whip. They just act for 3 hours. So the child or the adult feels very happy for 3 hours and feels, oh my God, I'm on top of this world. And then they come crashing down once the pill, the asar, or what do you call it? The effect of the pill comes crashing down. So there's a super high and a super low. And again after 4 hours, another pill is given. And then each time they visit someone, the dosage is doubled. So this is
And that
leading
becomes
them.
an addiction.
It's an addiction. You can't do without it. So why can't we release our own happy hormones in our gut by feeding our gut microbes? Because they produce serotonin, dopamine, endorphins. They produce these happy hormones, which motivate you to go exercise, which motivate you to feel happy, which motivate you to take care of yourself first and others as well. So I spoke about 3 things: coconut water, spirulina, and your salad. Number 4, fruits, seasonal fruits. Just have a fruit bowl as your evening snack. Instead of having chai with a biscuit or coffee with a cookie, or a bagel or a waffle, keep only fruits in the house. If you have children, I have a teenager, and when she opens the refrigerator, she'll find only fruits, chana chaat, hummus, yogurt. She doesn't find anything else. She'll slam the door and she'll leave. She'll curse me and she'll walk out, but that's okay. She's eating her fruit. And then what does she pick? Guava. Her favorite fruits are guava. So why I keep talking about me and my family is because I know that this has worked. And it's working for all my clients and their children. So it's, that's how it's causing this nice ripple effect, which kind of inspired me to start my school. So fruit bowl in the evening. Berries are great. Guava is great. Banana is great. We were monkeys. We were the ape family. We swung on trees and we ate bananas, right? We didn't like, open a ice cream cone and eat ice cream. We were monkeys. So fruit bowl is great. And if you want to, if let's say you're diabetic or your juvenile diabetes, if your child or your nephew or niece is juvenile diabetic, sprinkle some seeds for them on the fruit. So So it releases the blood sugar of the fruit very slowly. When you add a fat to a fruit bowl, it releases the blood sugar very slowly. So they don't get a sugar rush and they don't get a crash. And nor will their blood sugar levels in their body change. So adding a fat to anything sugary is great. So our fourth tip was a fruit bowl. Any fruit. Berries, guava, watermelon when it's really hot, lychees, I love lychees. I love avocados. So any fruit is good. We have South Indian avocados now. And even if you do purchase an imported avocado, it's okay. We wear imported clothes. We carry imported purses. So once in a while for our health and gut, it's okay. And the fifth, last but not the least, is a soup. A nice nourishing bowl of soup. And drumsticks, because we have so many women here today. Drumsticks are great for your premenstrual cramps, for perimenopause, for menopause, for thyroid, for hair, for any kind of cancers. Like moringa, right? They swear by moringa powder. So it's nothing but our drumsticks. So a drumstick soup is great and it tastes delicious. You want to add, you can add parsley, you can add basil, you can add mint, you can add anything to it. I add flax seeds to it. So it's crunchy when I'm drinking my soup. So mix it in a mushroom. See, it's so bland, drumsticks. You can put it in a broccoli soup, you can put it in a mushroom soup, you can put it in a manchav soup. Nobody's gonna know. Hide it, feed it to your girls. So yeah. So fifth is a soup and then a smaller meal at night to keep your tummy light and you should be good. And of course, water therapy, lots of water. We underestimate water. 70% of our earth is water, 70% of our body is water, 70% of what we should be consuming should be water. Rest my case on water.
Statistic.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Would you like some water on that note?
Thank you. That calls for some water.
I should get some.
Don't drink out of plastic. Try and be eco-friendly. Understand sustainability. Good practices for planet Earth would also be really good for your mental wellness. Also giving. When you're giving, you're living. So that also releases a lot of endorphins, a lot of serotonin. It's joy, it's happiness. Just the thought of coming to Kolkata, I've just been releasing good hormones, I think. So it's been good. And that reflects on your skin, your hair, your energy levels, how you interact with people. So good practices also heal the gut beautifully.
I have a last question and then we'll open it to the audience.
Sure.
So can you tell me how does technology impact your gut health and your overall well-being? Does it really play a very important role? As in, we're on our phones all the time right before sleeping, and you've read that you shouldn't be on your phone before sleeping, it affects your sleep and then the health. So can you elaborate a little on
It's
that?
really bad. Let's be very honest. As much as I also, the moment I wake up, I'm on my phone, I'm checking emails. I try and avoid it, but it's really, really harmful because the radiation is bad. And as I said, our microbes are very sensitive. They're very intelligent, but they're very sensitive. So anything so close to us is going to be damaging. So restrict your screen time, restrict your addiction of watching Netflix or any kind of digital. Unless you're doing it to add value, that's okay. But even that can be restricted. I'm a nerd, so I will keep reading up on things all the time, but even I understand I need to restrict that. So restrict your digital, experiences with TV, with phones, with iPads, or anything that you're using. It's very damaging. It's really damaging to your microbes, it's damaging to your eyes, it's damaging to everything.
Thank you. That was a lovely, lovely talk.
You're
And now
most
we'll
welcome.
have all your questions. Yes, ma'am, you
Yeah.
wanted to ask
So,
something.
Payal, I'm really glad here because the thing you said that be your own guinea pig.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that since years. So I had PCOD again in those time. No one understood PCOD.
Yeah, nobody knew PCOS or PCOD.
Yeah. So it was really bad, with hair fall, thyroid, etc. So anyways, to cut it short, then I'm a diabetic right now, and I stayed in Mumbai for a couple of years.
Okay.
So one of the celebrity nutritionists, she said that sabudana is a superfood.
Yeah.
Okay? And I went overboard. Plus one good thing I had, for years I did not have ghee, so I want you to tell us about the fat bit of it.
Sure.
So I did not have ghee and butter for years.
Okay.
She said that you should have 1 teaspoon of ghee. Okay. So I really enjoy my ghee and butter right now. Now I'm in a catch-22 situation,
Okay.
because with all that ghee and butter, I'm gaining weight,
Okay.
and then my sugar levels also go high.
Okay.
If I don't have that, then I become so dry skin and my hair becomes so dry.
Yeah.
As it is, in spite of having that also, it's very dry.
Okay.
So now you please tell us about this fat bit, that
Okay.
how much should we have and what else we can have, so that it's not so dry. as
Okay,
well.
so I can give you two ways of looking at it. One is that you read up a lot and understand what are good fats, what are bad fats. You understand what is suiting you, what is not suiting you. Either you'll have to do that research on your own and try it by yourself, or you come to me for the 12-week transformation and I can help you with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but honestly, if you're having ghee, you know what you can do is 1 week just go on a detox. Go on soups, fruits, water, soups, chash, go on all of that, and then see if the next day ghee, how are you feeling with the ghee? If you're not feeling good with the ghee, drop it, try coconut oil. If you feel that's heavy, try sesame oil. If you feel that is also not suiting me, try olive oil, the most lightest oil. So try eliminating first and then introducing. Yeah, so and then add the avocado, add flaxseed oil, the omega-3 fatty acids. You need fat. Our brain functions on fat. So you need the good fats. So try this.
That-
Yeah, sure. Most welcome.
Do we have another question?
Yeah.
Isha.
So in your entire the 5 pointers that you gave, I'm a vegetarian, so that's a big help for me.
Yes.
But what about the non-vegetarians? You didn't mention anything about the first-class proteins someone
So,
should take in.
yeah, so lean proteins, and if they are grass-fed poultry and cattle, then it's okay to have those proteins. But if most of our cattle and poultry is injected and has hormones, so if you're trying to build lean muscle mass, you're literally doing more damage to your body than any gain. So if you're eating chicken, and make sure that that chicken is free range. It's playing around. It's country chicken. It's not grain fed. It's grass fed. It's not injected with antibiotics. So look into all of that before you purchase any kind of meat in our country or anywhere abroad actually.
Fish, what about fish?
Fish also has a lot of high mercury. So if you're looking at freshwater fish, then that's fine. But if you're looking at fish farming, that's another big hoax. So be careful what kind of fish farming they're doing. What are they feeding the fish? So-
Living in a metro city is very difficult to access.
Exactly.
Whether it's farm range, even eggs now they promote it as
Yeah.
free range eggs. We
Yeah.
don't even know if it's they're really.
But it'll be
selling them.
50% better. If not 100%, it'll definitely be 50% better. So, and I have the same argument even with vegetables and fruits, that there are pesticides and there's everything happening. But at least those pesticides can be washed and cleaned. So it's not as damaging as a hormone or an injection or an antibiotic. It's not that damaging. At least how many ever clients I have helped, we've moved to 80% plant-based and then 20% non-veg, and they've pretty much not even gone back to non-vegetarian because they feel so good, so light, that the darkness in their skin gets better, everything gets better, their emotions, their energy, their mental health gets better. So again it depends on person to person, and someone who comes in saying I'm very happy with my non-veg, So I have a lot of Parsi clients and they only eat non-veg. For them to eat broccoli, spinach, kale,
It's not
drumsticks,
food at
they
all.
don't know any of this. They're children. So I had a client with twins whose kids were suffering with leaky gut. So I had to wean them off and make them understand that you can do a balance of a 50-50. So now they eat a little bit of broccoli, they'll eat a little bit of bindi, they'll eat a little bit of greens which are good for them, and the balance they'll have their non-veg.
So when you cook all these vegetables that you mentioned, they still retain its
They
food
do,
value?
it's not that, don't overcook them. Yeah, you can blanch it, you can boil it, you can stir fry it. Don't overcook them. Like we Gujus tend to overcook our veggies and they become really soggy. But yeah.
We do too.
Yeah. So try and keep it crunchy and nice. Yeah. And even spinach, if you feel it has a lot of pesticides and raw, sometimes raw doesn't suit an IBS or a person with irritable bowel syndrome. So blanch it, steam it, saute it. So that's why I enjoy cooking. You can do so much. You can experiment. Even how to go off grains is quite easy. Like making mung dal rotis and then using it like a wrap. So it's almost grain free. Lettuce as your wrap. So many things you can use. You can do cauliflower rice. You don't have to go extreme and do a keto or a vegan, or you don't have to do any of those diets because most diets are not sustainable. But you can experiment it when you're doing an elimination. So if you're doing an elimination, you can eliminate the grains and do mung dal roti or a quinoa atta roti. It's less than a gehu ka roti. It's less damaging. So our digestive system needs some rest. So also fasting between our meals. Earlier it was eat every 2 hours, but that didn't suit everyone. It definitely didn't suit me because I'm on the go, I have kids, I'm working, I'm seeing clients, I want to go shopping, I want to do this. I can't carry food every 2 hours, and I'm not even eating protein bars every 2 hours. So I enjoy the 4 hours resting my digestive system and just drinking water. Keep water with you. Allow the system to rest. We're overburdening it or overstarving it. Like intermittent fasting. It may suit someone, it may not suit someone. If you're acidic, it may not suit you. So don't overstarve yourself, don't overfeed yourself. Strike a balance, and only you can do it. Only you can do it for yourself by understanding what is suiting me and not. Not a dietitian, not a nutritionist, not a health coach. Nobody can help you. You got to first start believing that I need to start listening to my gut first, whether it's suiting me or not. Your gut tells you immediately. It tells me immediately. I'll have a sandwich, grilled sandwich, and I know my spine of my back will start giving out signals. It's not psychosomatic. It's true. So the sandwich doesn't suit me and I won't eat it.
So you were right now talking about grains.
Hmm.
So how much is rice better than all of these grains, and is rice really good?
It's very
I kind of
good.
came across a blog where you were like, busting the myths about rice.
Yeah.
And can you tell all of us about it?
Rice is very good. Just have rice which is not fully processed. It's minimally processed. Try and procure it from our farms and our farmers. So many are available now, especially in Bombay. So they'll come and deliver it to you. So I don't know if there are in Kolkata. Yeah, so
it's called dheki chhata.
yeah, perfect. So just cook, and that starch is the starch for your gut bacteria. And if you're looking at weight loss, then do a 80-20. 20 of the rice, 80 of the dal and the vegetables. Always remember 80-20 and you'll be good. And 70-30 for water. 70 water, 30 food.
I just wanted to ask, you mentioned spirulina.
Yeah.
I know that spirulina is available because how to procure
Yeah.
spirulina
Yeah.
as such in its raw form.
Yeah.
So we get these capsules now, is that true?
So capsules also, you should make sure what is the capsule made of. You got to become a detective. Everything that you buy, everything that you eat, everything that you read, don't believe it 100%. Become a detective. What is the capsule made of? Is it a vegan capsule? Is it made of gelatin? Or is it made of plastic? So make sure the brand, whichever you're purchasing from Amazon or wherever, if you go to a store, Start reading.
Amway, I know, sells a lot.
Himalaya also.
Yeah, so yeah, you can get that. You know, but a better form of consuming powder, because the moment you put it in your mouth, we have mouth microbiota also. So even that needs to multiply. The bad breath, the chemistry between two people is body odor, right? Sometimes you like really click with the person, and sometimes you don't. You just feel averse. Those are your bugs talking to each other, literally. Romance is all about gut health. Everything is about gut health. Bad mouth is about gut health. Mouth odor. Everything. Bad body odor is all about a dysbiosis of your bacteria.
No more questions? Yeah, just one more. A lot of the prebiotics that you mentioned, correct
Yeah.
me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
are high in calories. Like potatoes,
High in starch.
high in starch.
Yeah.
Therefore, I think calories, isn't
Yes,
it? Yeah. So,
yes.
would you still recommend that if people who are looking for weight loss, that we go for those prebiotics?
So,
Even diabetics.
Even
yeah, it's a
diabetics.
great question. So add your cucumber, tomatoes, leafy greens, sprouts to those root vegetables. So basically starch and high calories and diabetes is all about insulin and blood sugar levels. All diabetics need to understand is not raise their blood sugar levels too high. When the blood sugar is raised too high, the pancreas releases a lot of insulin to stabilize it. So add a good fat to it, add alkaline vegetables to it. So then it'll be balanced. And you can't eat one whole plate of sweet potato.
Just one, mix it.
Yeah, mix it, do portion control. Look at that plate also as a 80-20.
Yeah.
20 of the starchy and 80 of the watery alkaline.
Then it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. So visually you need to understand fiber, starches. These are concepts. Yeah, sure.
So I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you, Payal and Nilisha. It was really informative and entertaining. And I also take this opportunity to thank Prabha Khaitan Foundation and Shree Cements for continuously organizing boutique library events and association with Taj Bengal. Could I request Mr. Saurabh Mitra to please come and give a memento to our two guests. And this one, in order to promote cross-state handlooms, this is an uttariya from Chhattisgarh.
Kosha.
Kosha.
It's for me.
Yes.
There are a few recipes in here as well.
In there? Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah. And there are 50 cheat codes which are my favorite.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah.
a big help.